Welcome friends to your English methodology class. In today's session, we shall deal with the subunit English as a link, national and international language, unit 5.1.2. This subunit shall be dealt in three parts. The first deals with the questionnaire, which I assume all of you must have attempted before you watch this video. The second is this present video, wherein we will discuss English as a national link language. And the third is another video wherein we will discuss English as an international link language. At the end of that video, you will find links for extra readings as well as an assignment based on this entire subunit. The purpose of the questionnaire was to help you think and reflect upon how English is used in your state. Does it have the status of the first, second, or third language in our schools, colleges, and universities? That is formal learning curriculum. How frequently and in what functional capacity is English used in informal situations? That is in our personal, social, and professional spaces. This question regarding the status of English in India is important because our language teaching learning situations in schools cannot be separated from the language learning environment outside the classroom. Being realistic about the general English learning environment faced by our learners will make our teaching much more effective and help us make desirous changes in the methodology availed as well as an effective use of all resources. It will motivate our learners to use English in authentic, real-life situations. Now let us try and understand the concept of a link language. S. Mohan Kumar Mangalam, in his essay Link Language for India, explains, link language in any country is always the language of convenience. That is a language that is most convenient and suitable to enable different states in a federation or a country to communicate with one another. It may not be the language known to the masses of the people, but always has been the language known to those who need to know it in order to do their work. Work that takes them outside their own state and into the other states that make up a federation or a country. Let us see a few examples of linked languages. In Europe, Latin was the linked language for decades, though it was not known among millions. Arabic was the linked language for Arabian countries in the Middle East, yet many people did not know Arabic, but only knew their mother tongue, like Persian or Turkish. Hence, a linked language historically has been a language of communication, a language of convenience, to get your work done across the states, a language probably known to a few and not to millions. Does India need a linked language? India is a multilingual country with numerous languages and dialects. There are 22 official languages recognized in the 8th schedule of the Constitution, 1,652 mother tongues, and over 3,000 dialects belonging to 5 different language families of India. Over 87 languages are used in the print media and 71 languages are used in the audio media. However, only 47 languages are used as the media of instruction in schools, and English is one of them. With such a huge palette of languages and dialects available, certainly there is a strong need to have a linked language for the country. Now, can English be the linked language for India? I would like you to take some time and think and reflect upon this before we move ahead. Before discussing the present day scenario with regards to English, let us first glance back and try and have a bird's eye view of the status of English during the pre-independence period, at the dawn of independence, post-independence period, and then the present day India. Pre-independent India. English was introduced in India by the Britishers. With the British rule, English remained the language of dominance, power, status, and privilege. It was the language of administration, judiciary, and education. On the dawn of independence, English was the link language of India. Since the administrators, political workers, traders, and businessmen, clerical class, as well as students throughout the country knew English, it was then the most convenient language for communication, the most suitable language to be the link language at that particular point of time. Post-independence India. The Constitution of India, adopted in 1950, envisaged Hindi as the only official language of the Union of India, and English was to continue for 15 years from the date of adoption of the Constitution. This was opposed by the southern states. As a result, the Parliament enacted in 1963 the Official Languages Act, providing for continued use of English for an indefinite period. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru also assured the southern states that English would continue to be the associate official language until such a time as the non-Hindi states agree to accept Hindi as the only official language of the country. Here we need to understand that Hindi was proclaimed as the official language of India, but in doing so, the obvious was ignored. In 1947, was Hindi, or for that matter any other regional language, suitable to become the link language for India? Since Hindi was not known amongst a huge section of the non-Hindi speaking belt of India, a large number of people who also needed to know the link language for interstate communication could have been left out. Hence, we see two reasons why English seemed to secure the status of being the link language for India then. First, the existence of English as a link language. English was already in practice as an effective language in administration, courts, and education. Secondly, the lack of knowledge of Hindi amongst those who had to know the link language in order to get their work done across the states. Post-independence India. The Indian Education Commission 1964-66 recommended the continuance of English in the interest of national integration and for higher academic work. It declared English as an associate official language of India. The Education Commission 1964-66 also stated that in higher education, English will be as a library language and it should be taught from standard 5th, though we know that many students who come from the rural areas can't begin their study before class 7th. The then Prime Minister, Mr. Morarji Desai, quoted to Mr. Callaghan, the then British Prime Minister, that we will not deny to ourselves the practical as well as the cultural benefits of the familiarity with English, this most eloquent and popular of the languages. Ardent patriots like Rajaram Mohan Roy were in the vanguard of the Anglicist movement for the dissemination of useful knowledge of science and literature through the medium of the English language. Even Agarwal points out that the status of English in the post-independence period as a link language among the educated people and a few elites. But he also mentions it resulted in the creation of a class of vernacular educated natives to occupy lower position both in education and administration. The present day scenario. In the present day, English still continues to enjoy the position of a link language. Let us try and understand why. Firstly, it is the neutrality of the language. By neutrality, we here mean English is nobody's language in particular in India. That means it doesn't particularly belong to any class, caste, or a particular state, but still it is everybody's language. Secondly, English by itself is a very well-developed language. The ease of learning language, English language, helps it to spread across the country. Also, it is the most widely spoken and understood language in all urban centers in India. But even now, very few can speak English proficiently. Majority of educated Indians are biliterates. That is, they can read and write in English. But there are many who are receptive bilinguals. That is, they can understand English when spoken to. According to the 2001 census data on bilingualism and trilingualism in India, English was the primary language for barely 2.3 lakh Indians, and about 86 million listed it as their second language and another 39 million as their third language, taking the total number of English speakers in India to over 125 million. According to 2011 census, 129 million Indians spoke English. 2,59,678 spoke English as their first language. Approximately 83 million reported English as their second language, and 46 million reported as their third language, making English the second most spoken language in India, only after Hindi. English then, today, is an associate official language of India. Besides being the associate official language for interstate communication and communication between the state and the center, English is the only language which is understood by the educated people all over the country. Without English, both official and personal communication between many parts of the country would be hampered. It is commonly used language in offices, business, industry, professional courses, and in research, particularly in the field of science and technology. And so teaching of English in schools has acquired importance in the education system of a country. English today occupies a very important place as a second language in our schools. It is either taught as L1, L2 or L3 at the school level. It is a language of higher education in our country. It continues to be the medium of instruction in our colleges and universities. For quite a large percentage of school and college-going children or students, it is the language of science and technology. It opens up avenues of great knowledge in particular subjects, specialized fields as advanced scientific literature. Research material is available in abundance all over the world, mostly in English. It is the language of administration, judiciary, banking and investment, hospitality and tourism, trade and commerce, industry, telecommunication, internet, social media, artificial intelligence, you name it. As English has become a major language to be used in scientific research, information technology and commerce sectors, there has been a significant change in the public opinion in favor of English in the recent years, resulting in the teaching of English as a language at school level. Due to the prominence and usage of English language and the desire for English language education, English is the de facto national link language of India. David Gradol, in his book English Next India, The Future of English in India 2009, mentions that in India, English is changing its status from a bureaucratic and elite language to one which plays an increasing role in the lives of all citizens. He feels that English has escaped from the library. It has long been thought of as a library language, but spoken English skills are now increasingly needed both for higher studies and employment. It was only a library language in the past, but is now viewed as the language of opportunity, of acquiring jobs, quest for global identity, and thus prompts efforts of all to make the language accessible to all. English has then become a link language in the real sense of the term. it has slowly become a language of communication for the classes and the masses. Thank you.